warm welcome and good evening to all of you present here. I hope you all are doing amazing. On behalf of whole Sense family, I welcome you all for today's international webinar on the topic The Power of Emotional Intelligence. And to add our guest of honor and today's speaker, Mr. Vasant Agarwal. It is a great honor to have you, sir, with us. We are very grateful for your presence.
Thank you. Same here.
Yeah. Also, I see a quite number of people joining us. Before I proceed, let me take a brief moment for the introduction of our organization. This webinar is conducted by SIMS Welfare Foundation, which is a non-profit entity established to work in the areas of education, social welfare, women empowerment, skill development, and entrepreneurship, livelihood generation and employability, health, research, culture, international cooperation, sports, environment protection, or any other similar sectors. We promote healthy lives and strong businesses. It allows the volunteer members to concentrate their energies in an effort on long-term goals when freed from day-to-day details. Emotional intelligence is your ability to understand your emotions and to respond to them effectively to produce their behavior that you want. The good news is, emotional intelligence is a leadership skill that can be learned and enhanced over time. So here we are gathered together virtually to enhance such skills. Now, let me introduce today's speaker to you all, Mr. Vasant Agarwal, who is a coach in emotional intelligence, who is an author and a speaker. He is the director at Discover My Mind, a life skill platform, and the author of several books, including Parenting with Emotional Intelligence and The Accidental Addict, The Power of Positive Thinking. He is a speaker at international conferences across India, a director in the Indian School Counselor Association, and a senior advisor to the International Training Federation. His work experience includes many years as a senior management consultant with EY in Los Angeles and has business ventures in solar energy and electric vehicles. Before starting with today's event, there are some ground rules which the participants needs to obey and follow them. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. We will answer every question in the end. Every participant is requested to keep their mic mute. Lastly, a feedback form will be shared in the chat box. Now, over to you, sir.
Thank you. I'm honored and privileged to be a part of this program. Thank you for the introduction. I've lived in America over 40 years. I've come back to India to give back to my country. I found emotional intelligence to be a challenging, intriguing area of study. And so about 10 years ago, I started my journey. I have thousands of connects on LinkedIn and Facebook interested in what I'm doing. And but the problem we have is the lack of education and awareness on the subject matter in our country. Where I was at a party recently and they asked me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm involved in emotional intelligence." And they looked at me and they said, "Ye kya nayi bimari hai kya?" I mean, is this some new illness? So the problem that we face is education and awareness. Almost anybody you talk to has no knowledge, no understanding of what we are talking about. So my biggest hurdle is first to get people to know and understand what we are talking about, and then to sell them the value proposition, which is, hey, if you understand this, comprehend it, accept it, then this is how it's going to benefit you, right? So why will somebody kind of accept something that they don't understand to begin with. And that is where the dilemma is uh, where to go. So anyway, uh, I'm happy to be a part of this. I think I'm doing a lot of webinars and training and certification on emotional intelligence. And I just want everybody to know, people say, how can you be intelligent when you're emotional, right? So the two don't go together necessarily. But what they don't understand is that in order to be successful in life, there are four pillars: your health, your career, your family, and your finances. Now, these four pillars are the basis for your well being. Now, believe you me, emotional intelligence plays a part in all four of them. And we must understand how to identify our emotions, how to manage them, how to regulate them, and how to use them for our best results in terms of relationships, in terms of our career. It's a very powerful tool. And we really have not uh, understood or applied the value of our emotions. People say, oh, this person is too emotional, so I don't want to deal with them. Wait a minute. Emotions and expressing emotions, there's nothing wrong with it. And that is the only way that we can communicate. Otherwise, we can't get forward in any conversation, in any understanding, in any communication, because we are branded with being emotional. What are emotions? Let me ask you. Emotions are nothing but a feeling that turns into a thought, that becomes an emotion, that then causes you to say or do something, an action, that then results in a reaction. And so we must understand that, and emotions have been used to run, businesses, wars, conflict, uh, relationships throughout our lives, throughout history. So that is a fundamental of our DNA, of our human consciousness. So everything, every day, you will see that you will have emotions. Now, 90% of the emotions are negative. Only 1%, 10% are positive. It takes 10 positive emotions to overcome one negative emotion. Can you believe that? People don't understand. You look at the newspaper, look at the news, look at the TV. Everything is negative. So many people died, so much was destroyed. Excuse me. There was so much harm or crime or whatever. It's all negative. And I don't, you know why? Because human nature revels in the misfortune of others. Oh, so he got killed, he got robbed, this country got invaded. Oh, I'm fine in my own little uh, uh, comfort corner, if you will. And so we cannot progress unless we get rid of negative emotions. It is very crucial in our everyday. Our emotions impact our family, our finances, our careers, our health. Our health, our physical health is based on our emotional health. We do a physical checkup once a year, right? Get your blood test done. But we never do an emotional checkup. How are we doing emotionally? And that is something that I do, that we do as part of the program. And I will talk about it later. So it is very important to understand the value proposition for schools, colleges, universities. Most mental health professionals, they have 6-year degrees, PhD, but they've never been trained on emotional intelligence. How can you do counseling? Let me ask you. When you don't know the fundamentals of emotional behavior. Schools and colleges, universities, there are counselors, thousands of them. And they're doing counseling of students for their mental health problems. But they don't know, they've not been trained on emotional intelligence. The UGC, Universities Grants Commission, Universities Grants Commission has just mandated throughout India that every school and college, every university must have at least one trained and certified counselor on emotional intelligence. And further, they have mandated that every school, college, university must include emotional intelligence as part of their curriculum. So now, the handwriting is on the wall. And I just pray that the educators, principals follow the directive. Now, I may just regress for a second. Okay, I think we're back, correct? Ria, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Am I back? I
Yeah.
was muted. I was muted there.
Yeah, yes, sir, you're back.
Okay. Now I've lost my train of thought. So going forward, uh, for example, what I was suggesting, there's a huge area in human resource. In America, for a job applicant, 30% points are given for EQ assessment and profiling, 30% for experience, 30% for qualifications, and 10% for personality. In India, unfortunately, and it's coming though, employers, HR, have no understanding of the value of emotional intelligence testing and profiling. So it's coming. We're getting there, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I would like you all to get something to write with, because during the session, I'd like to give you contact information in case you wish to connect with me. Okay, Rhea, let's go. Let's go with the PPT, please.
Yes, sir.
And I'll just ask you to skip to the next slide, because there is so much information that
Yes, sir.
I can't cover all that within an hour. So I'll just quickly ask you to next slide, next slide, next slide.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah, I hope you can do that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, sir.
How many people have we got? 54. Very good.
So
Also,
my screen is visible.
not yet.
Okay. So I am sharing my screen actually.
Hello.
So now it's visible.
Okay.
Yes.
This is not the first page. Go back. Go
Yes,
back
sir.
to the first page. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Super. Can I control the screen? Can I, if I go to share screen, can I skip to the next slide? Can I do that? Can I manage that?
Sure, sir. Okay.
Or do you have to do it? No, I'm asking you. Should I
Sir.
click on,
Sir, actually, you have to just request for the control.
how do I
Yeah,
do
sir.
that? How do I do
So,
that?
okay, there's an option called view options. There's an option called request remote control.
Where is that option?
Okay, there's a view option
I don't,
in that.
I see share screen.
Okay,
Ekdam, on the
Top.
top, sir.
Oh, on top.
Yes.
No, I don't see anything. View options.
yes, sir.
Okay, so do I click on view?
Yes, you click on view. There's an option called request remote control.
Oh, oh, I don't see the, oh, hold on. Don't see request remote control. Under options, view options, request. Nay, I don't see any option. Anyway,
No worries,
Okay,
sir.
sir, I
She will be
Chali,
just
Chali. Let's proceed.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is basically about me. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I've spent many years in America. I've come back to India to give back to my country. I'm a graduate of University of California, Los Angeles, and I have a diploma from Cambridge University. and I'm devoting my life on emotional intelligence. And my profile is on LinkedIn. So you can go to LinkedIn and look at Vasant Agarwal. Next slide, please. We have a
Yes.
long way to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is essentially is emotional intelligence? The main ingredient, the main pillar, the main aspect is self-awareness. We must know who we are, what we are, why we are here, what are our goals, and essentially it's also called self-assessment. Now, self-awareness, self-assessment is the first step to spirituality. It's a 6-step process. So self-awareness begins. The second is self-management, self-control. How do you identify and understand and manage your emotions? The third is empathy and compassion. How do you show that you care for somebody? Empathy is not the same as sympathy. Empathy and compassion are what you do for others, not just talk about it. And finally is relationship management. How do you relate to other people? How do you say thank you? How do you say I'm sorry? How do you say, how can I help you? And all of this, believe you me, whatever we say and do in life, it has an impact today, tomorrow, a year later. You may not even imagine. You may say something today, but it may come back to haunt you a year later. So this is a quick snapshot. Next slide, please. Yeah. Oh, next slide. Okay. Now I want you to, is this visible to all the attendees? Everybody say yes.
Yes,
Can
sir.
everybody
Yes, sir.
read?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everybody
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now take a few minutes and read this very carefully, because these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. And if we ask these questions, then we will know why we need to understand our emotions, and we need to, what is known as emotional learning. So let's go down and yeah, let's go down. Let's go down.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm trying.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So again, most people don't know that our IQ remains constant all our life. It's our emotional, our EQ that develops from the time we are born. EI teaches us how to manage our emotions along with that of others. It tells us how to think, not what to think. It allows the mind, not our emotions, to control our actions. It helps simplify thoughts. It is about understanding oneself. It affects the functionality of our IQ, our emotion, our intelligent quotient that is affected by our EQ. And it's the best way to upskill our faculties, and it affects our competency. Next slide, please.
Yes,
Boy,
sir.
there is so much to talk about. Okay, so here's a quick snapshot. Basic. Next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a training and certification program on emotional intelligence. We will talk about that later. But once you understand the fundamentals of EI, you will want to learn more and get certified, I hope. If you have something to write with, I'd like to give you my contact information. My name is Vasant Agarwal. My email is very simple. My full name, Vasant Agarwal 1, numeric 1 at Gmail. And my phone number is 99-589-60437. I'll repeat that in case you want to get in touch with me. 99-589-60437. The website is www.discovermymind.com. Discovermymind.com. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, part of the learning process of emotional intelligence is doing what is known as an EQ profiling and assessment. This is like your emotional Janampatri. We get our physical checkup done, but we never get our emotional checkup done. So that is part of the program that we have, is your personal profiling and assessment. EQ profiling and assessment. We'll talk about that more later. Next slide, please. I've written several books on emotional intelligence. This is The Power of Emotional Intelligence. And I've also written a book called Parenting with Emotional Intelligence. Both the books are bestsellers. Again, I've given you my contact information. I'll give it to you again later on. And you must get a copy of the book. It'll teach you everything you want to know, I hope. Next slide, please. This goes back to the personal profiling and assessment I mentioned. Again, get your personal EQ profiling done. Next slide, please. Okay, and this is what I'll give you a minute just to look at this. These are the benefits of getting your EQ assessment done. I think, you see, if you have somebody that has a mental health problem, you go to a psychiatrist or psychologist, then you don't want the first answer to be prescription medication. If you have your emotional Janampatri, if you have your EQ assessment, then you can show that to the counselor, and the counselor can then decide what to do. So please, my goal in life is to remove prescription medication and to go to holistic ways of resolving your mental health issues. Next slide, please. Okay, again, this has to do with the training and certification course. We'll tell you more about it later. Next slide, please. I have formed a group on LinkedIn called Emotional Intelligence Alliance. It's a worldwide group for people interested in emotional intelligence. Go to LinkedIn, go to groups, go to Emotional Intelligence Alliance, and sign up. You'll become a member and network with the top mental health experts in the world. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just contact information. Again, discovermymind.com. And my phone number is 99589 60437. And hey, I've given my personal email, vasantagarwal1, numeric 1 at Gmail. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please.
So next,
Yeah, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, I want you to read this. I'm sorry. Next slide, please. Yeah, no, next, this one. I want you to take a minute and read this, because these are the concerns that we all have in our personal lives, our family, our careers. And this is where emotional intelligence will be essential to help you in every which way. So we do this, I do this as part of my consultancy. So please, if you need any help, let us know. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, these are the various. Dr. Viraja Makanti is an associate of mine. Next slide, please. See, this is what is going on. I'm talking about schools and colleges and universities. And so we have very high suicide rate in our country and across the world. And one of the ways of resolving that, you know, addiction is another big problem. And these are all solvable with emotional intelligence. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Since this is not interactive, like I said, most of our emotions are negative, and we must stop that. We cannot afford to let our thinking be affected by negative emotions. Next slide, please. There you go. If our emotions are negative, then they have to be suppressed and rejected, because there's no room, basically, for us to entertain negative emotions. Next slide, please. Yeah, if you're too emotional, then they make you weak. Your health suffers, and your thinking is affected. Your actions are affected. And so it's amazing what emotions can make you do not do, say, not say. Uh, think about it. Next, please. There you go. When you are about to make a decision, an important one, whether it's business, finance, your family, your career, or just relationships, if you're emotional and then that affects your rationality, it affects your thinking, it affects your ability to determine what's right and what's wrong, what's appropriate and what isn't. So, like I said before, the world revolves around emotions. It's amazing how it affects what we do, what we say, and how we react. How do we react to how others react? That's very important. So think about it. Managing, identifying, understanding, and regulating and applying our emotions is so critical to our daily lives. Next slide, please. Like I said before, emotions get in your way. You let them affect your thinking. You let them, distract you from what you need to do, what you should do, what you must do, as opposed to what you go ahead and do because that's the way you feel right now. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Our emotions leave a footprint. Whatever we do, whatever we say, whatever happens, there's a footprint. It leaves behind a footprint. You may not think of it that way, but there is a footprint. Something you did, said, is there, recorded in history, in memory, in action, in the hearts of people. And so we think that, oh, I just said this, I just did that, I didn't mean it, oh, it was nothing. That's not true. You cannot get away when you let your emotions take charge of what you say and do. It is very important. It is very important to understand this basic tenet because we just think that, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, they won't mind it. Yes, they do. And you should, because sooner or later, at some point, there will be a repercussion, there will be a reaction, there will be a resultant effect, either today, either in minutes, or the same day, or the same week, or the same month, or in a year, or 5 years later. Excuse me, people don't forget. And so we must be very conscious of how our emotions play a part in our daily lives. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is a very good point. You see, part of our learning in school, in college, even at work and career, part of it is related to our emotions. Our learning is somehow related to what we're thinking, what we're observing, what we are seeing, what we are hearing. So all that is integral to our learning process. I mean, our family, our friends, our wife, our husband, our children, they're all affected by our emotions, no? And so, and therein lies the learning process. The learning process being behavior management, being career advancement, being knowing how to manage your finances and your health. So it's very important to understand our emotions, identify them, learn from them, manage them, control them, use them. Our emotions impact our personality. Do you know how great an impact our emotional outreach or appearance or behavior is a part of our personality? There is a thing called nonverbal communication. What is nonverbal communication? You can talk to somebody and express everything you want emotionally without even saying a word to the other person. So it's part of the learning and teaching process. Emotions all are part of the learning and teaching process. Next slide, please. There we go. Like we were talking. Decision making, decision making, decision making. We make decisions every second of our lives. Every second. Whether to drive or to stay at home or to eat or to drink or to read or to watch TV or to say hello to somebody or pick up the phone. Every second of your life, you are making a decision, a conscious decision. And so, excuse me, I have a bad throat, I'm sorry. So all your thinking and actions are affected by your emotions. How are you feeling that moment? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling bad? Are you feeling, you don't want to talk to anybody? Or do you feel like going out and hugging somebody because something nice happened? You got a big contract, or you got a degree, or you graduated, or somebody said, I love you. So that's what it is all about. By the way, I must mention, in case I forget, all our emotions lie in our subconscious. It is only when a trigger occurs that emotions come out of your subconscious, come to your conscious, and make you say or do something, or not say or do something, and then they go back into the subconscious. So what you do in your life on a daily basis is what is known as automatic thoughts. You're driving, you have to go from here to there. You don't think about that trip because it's automatic. You're washing dishes, It's automatic. You're taking a walk, it's automatic. So 90% of our lives are based on what is known as automatic thoughts. We don't have to think. There's nothing to guide, essentially, or to decide. You know what to do. You've been doing it for years, for your life, and you keep doing it. So that is where the value, the importance of emotional intelligence comes in, because all your emotions are in your subconscious. They are part of your internal operating system, your IOS, as it is known as in computer language. So your iOS are your emotions, and you better fine tune them. So next slide, please. Okay, attitude. Attitude will determine your altitude in life. Everything, everything, every day, every person, every interaction, anything you do, it all depends on your attitude. If you have a positive attitude, you'll be happy. By the way, we were born to be happy. If you're not happy, something is wrong. I'd advise you to check into it. So, attitude. It is what anybody else's attitude is towards you. It is what your attitude is towards anything, any person, any event, anything. That will determine your altitude, how high you reach in life. Next slide, please. Well, we've already discussed a lot of it. Next slide, please. Okay. Daniel Goleman is one of the leading experts in the world in emotional intelligence. And he, in fact, I think invented the concept way back 20 years ago. So next slide, please. Okay, skill enhancement. There we go. We can enhance our skills by emotional literacy. Whatever skills we have, reading, writing, technical, mechanical, knowledge skills, learning skills, they can be enhanced umpteen-fold with emotional literacy. This concept is just beginning to be used in our country now. The National Skill Development Corporation, I'm trying to contact them to show them the value, was skill development is a complete different subject. It's a deep subject. I'm sorry I can't get into it right now, but think about it. Next subject, next slide, please. Okay. Mr. Plutchik, I don't know who he is, but these are the various emotions, and they speak for themselves. Just look at the slide. You have submission, awe, disappointment, remorse, contempt, aggression, optimism, and trust. So it's a good picture. It tells a lot. Next slide, please. Okay, this will take hours to explain, but take a look at it. These are all the feelings that we have and how they interact. Again, It's a very good representation of our feelings. Next slide, please. Okay. We haven't talked much about how to manage our emotions, impulse control, and delayed gratification. So you feel like doing something right away. You feel like saying something right away. These are the result of letting your emotions take charge of yourself. So managing emotions is very difficult. It's not easy. It's easy to say, oh, well, I manage my emotions. I didn't do this, I didn't say that. But because they are impulsive, it's very hard. There's a company in the US called 6 Seconds. It takes 6 seconds for an emotion to go from your thought process to your brain. 6 seconds. That's how long it takes only. So, and they do a lot of work in emotional intelligence. So I don't know how to, without counseling and without further discussion, how to teach you how to control your emotions, how to manage them, how to identify them. And believe you me, emotions can be used for good. You can use your emotions to get what you want from somebody, to get a deal, to win a war even. And so their emotions are a very powerful weapon, an extremely powerful weapon if you know how to use it, and equally bad if it's misused. So do what you have to, but to make your life better. Next slide, please. Again, emotional intelligence is all about communication. It is about relationships, nothing else. If you are finding it difficult to maintain relationships, to communicate with your loved one, nobody's talking to you, nobody's listening to you, you have to enhance your communication skills. You have to listen. There is a complete section I have on listening. And, if you listen well, listening is half the answer to any problem. We don't listen. We listen just to respond quickly. See how fast I responded. See how quickly I told them what to do. No, wait, listen. Listen to what the person is saying. Get their message. Think about it for a minute. Then respond. So that is, I cannot stress the importance of listening. Listening is half the problem resolved. We don't listen. We just don't listen. We want to quickly speak. We want to quickly show everybody how smart we are and how quickly we responded, not knowing what the issue was, not knowing what the other person was really wanting to communicate. So be very careful in life. Thank you. And then we've talked about nonverbal communications. Oh, most importantly, empathy and compassion. We talked about that. It's all about empathy and compassion, how we share our feelings, our thoughts with other people, and help them. How can I help you? What can I do for you? How are you? I'm sorry. Thank you. I mean, these are just the basic communication skills that if we don't learn the importance of them and how to use them day to day, minute by minute, you know, interesting story. I lived in America for so many years. I came back home to my hometown, and I asked for a glass of water, and the maid gave me a glass of water, and I said thank you, and the whole family looked at me and said, "Why are you saying thank you to the maid? That's her job." My God, I was stunned. Hey, just saying thank you to the maid, that doesn't make me lesser. It made her so happy. She was that Sahab had come from America, and he said thank you. So these are little aspects of life. Please do follow them. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. Okay, are we done? Let's go next forward. There's too much. Keep going forward. It's okay. Next slide. It's about coaching. Yes, this I do want. I go back 1 second. Yes, I just want to. No, go back, go right, forward. No, next. Next. Okay. No. Go back one.
Back, sir. Okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just I need to wrap this up so I can take question and answers. I think we're mostly done. Am I right? I've got a sore throat, so I'm. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your time. If you need any assistance, you can contact Sneha and Sems. And
Are we done?
I think we're done. I think I've got a very bad throat. So
No problem.
Ria, take over.
Yeah. So actually, what a wonderful knowledge given by you, sir. I hope our audience learned many new things from this session. Once again, I would like to thank you for joining us and sharing your experience, your precious time and knowledge with us.
Are
So
there
there are,
any questions?
yeah, sir. There are a few questions which our audience wants to be answered. So
Sure.
yeah, okay. So the first question is, how do you de-stress after a bad day at work?
That's $1 million question. Everybody is stressed because of the activity that they endured all during the day. You're doing the same thing. You were, not happy with what you're doing. Your boss came and yelled at you. And basically, so all that builds up. So you can't just, it's not like taking a pill and saying, okay, this is a de-stress pill. I'm just going to take it and I'll be de-stressed in 5 minutes. Okay. You can't do that. You have to take a deep breath. You have to relax. You have to do something that you like, that you enjoy. Play with the children or with your wife or husband, or, talk to someone. Do anything that takes you away from your frame of mind and take a walk. I mean, just go take a walk in the park and, feed some ducks or whatever. So do any activity that you like, that pleases you, that you enjoy, that you can do at that time. Even go to sleep. Hey, I mean, if that's what de-stresses you, then go to sleep.
Listen to the music. Listen to the music.
Yeah,
Yoga,
there
meditation.
you go. There you go. Listen to music. Hey, there can be nothing better than that.
Can dance.
Okay, what else?
You can talk with a friend, meet your friend, or have a chit chat with him.
Whatever, go make something you like to eat. I mean, go make a sandwich. I mean,
Thank you, sir, for answering this question. That was a very good piece of advice. So, sir, the next question is, how do you recover from your failure?
oh wow, that's a very difficult question because it depends on the failure. A failure could mean that you, as a student, you missed a grade. A failure could mean that you didn't get the raise in the job. A failure could mean so many things. So you have to first define what is failure. Failure can be from something very minor to something very big. I mean, for example, you may have failed a major surgery. You were ill with something, you underwent surgery, and the surgery was not successful. Now that's a major failure, right? That was not in your control. So the question is not fair in the sense that you have to tell me the nature of the problem, the nature of the failure. That is where counseling comes in. That's where people. It could be a marriage that could be a failure. It could be a relationship. You love somebody and they dumped you or whatever. So, so how do I answer that question? I can't. I won't.
It's okay, sir. So, our next question is, emotional intelligence is the ability to make your emotions work for you instead of against you. Do you
Correct.
agree with this view?
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you can make your emotions work for you instead of letting negative emotions impact what you're doing, saying, negative emotion, you said something, you yelled at somebody, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So, oh yes, positive emotions properly utilized, properly applied. Oh, you can win wars. You can win win the boardroom in a company.
So, sir, the next question is, how do you respond when a co-worker challenges you?
No, that is a slow worker challenging you. Hey, there has to be some basis. They can't be just challenging you for no reason. So first we have to understand, and you term them as the slow worker. Maybe they term you as the slow worker. So this is all that goes on in a work environment. People accusing everybody else for not doing their fair share of the job and all that. It's very complex. You have to understand what really is going on, and it's hard to answer.
Thank you, sir, for answering these questions. It was very effective for our audience.
Sir,
You're
I'm
more
having a
than-
doubt.
You're most welcome.
May I?
Yes,
Yeah, you
yes.
can.
Sir, how to control, like if a few people are trying their level best to, toxic people are trying their level best to deviate you from your positive thoughts, and 24/7 they are focusing to divert you in a negative mode or negative thoughts, and they are diverting from your ambitions or what you call your good things, good emotions. How to control the overthinking all the time?
No, it's not overthinking. You're letting them manage your life. You're letting them use their emotions, for lack of a better word, to tell you what to do, say, think. You can't let that happen. You see, these are toxic people. There's a term in our business called toxicity. These are toxic people. Stay away from them. Don't deal with them. Don't talk to them. If they don't have anything positive to say, you don't need them. Why? Excuse me. Unless they pay you money, you're obligated to them to listen to them. I mean, there has to be some reason why you care. Just say, hey, I don't care. So if you're in a situation where you're obligated to hear them, obligated to listen to them, that's a sad situation. I can't help that, you know? So you have to live with it. But if you can avoid them, if you can say, hey, no thanks, bye-bye, see you later, sayonara, then that's the way to get rid of their influence. They're influencing you. You don't want that. I mean, it's easy for me to say. I know that a lot of people stuck
Yes, sir.
with that problem. You know, the typical Sas Bahu.
Whether it's a
Damned if-
positive or a negative approach, even though if we are going in a positive approach, but still they wantedly pointed us in a negative manner, and they try their level best to put down. So I hope these things are literally, maybe we couldn't discuss, but deep inside we are unable to balance some emotions. So this really a very bad part to everyone.
Yeah. No, there's no quick answer. I would have to sit down with you, understand the whole issues, who's saying what to whom, why, when, where, how. So this is not something that I can, in one sentence, give you a reply. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, cool. But it's been a really very interactive session, sir. Thank you so much. It's been really wonderful and very informative session. And thank you for the host and co-host for organizing this. It's been really a wonderful platform. Thank you all.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So now I would like to request everyone to kindly open their camera for a snapshot. Let's take a selfie. Everyone, please open their camera. Everyone. One second. Everyone, please open the camera.
What disqualify?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you, everyone, for cooperating so much. Again, thank you all for attending today's webinar. And if you have any additional questions, you can contact us by email or telephone. We are happy to provide additional support to you. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. So stay connected to us for new learnings. I, Riya Kumari, your host for the day, signing off on a cheerful note. Have a wonderful day. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Bye bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.